Hello everybody, my name is Harman Mahal, one of Mr. Lewis's English class students. I will be discussing a poem from one of the most influential writers in history. Widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language, William Shakespeare has written numerous poems on love, such as Sonnet 141. From a total of 154, Sonnet 141 is a part of the sequence of the Dark Lady sonnets. It is also far more sexual and darker than those expressed to the fair youth. Sonnet 141 does not use conventional methods to address the object of Shakespeare's affections, nor to explain that he still adores his lady even when he senses rebel against her. Shakespeare divides his poem into four sections. The form used is the Shakespearean sonnet, a term commonly used to indicate that it was written in iambic pentameter that mimics the beat of the heart to give the sonnet a passionate effect. In each of the sections, Shakespeare either uses metonymy, personification, imaginary, or repetition to prove that genuine love is not controlled, for it is irrational and entirely consuming. However, the reward for such love is a sin that is rewarded with penance. In the first quatrain, Shakespeare writes, "In faith I do not love thee with mine eyes, for they in thee 1,000 errors know, but this my heart that loves what they display, who in despite of you is pleased to do." In other words, he means that although his eyes can identify many faults or physical imperfections in the woman, they are limited since they are not helpful in detecting moral fault. However, he says, "My heart," which is the principle that rules his love and condemns what they despise, or condemns what the eyes see. The careful use of metonymy is identified in the first quatrain to establish relationships on the ground of close associations. For example, Shakespeare writes "in faith," which is replaced by the word "truly." By using "in faith," Shakespeare introduces a self-importance that opposes what the five external senses and five internal wits can see. Had he used the word "truly," he would have not been able to derive the same effect. The second quatrain falls to let the lady know that it is not her voice, neither her touch, taste, or smell that makes him want to get closer to her, none of which is truly complimentary. Shakespeare writes, "Nor are mine ears with their tongue tune delighted, nor tender feeling to base touches prone, nor taste nor smell desire to be invited to any sensual fest be with alone." The use of repetition is easily identified in the first three lines of the second quatrain to emphasize his feelings about the woman, as well as to help create rhythm. Shakespeare statistically uses the word "nor," which is followed by each of the senses: hearing, touch, and taste. Here, repetition is the form of anaphora, produces a deeper level of emphasis and emotional effect on the readers. The repetition of the word "nor" also shows emotional attachment of the writer and expects a similar response from the readers. This is also evidence of personification in the second quatrain to express his love for the lady. In line 3 of the quatrain, Shakespeare personifies the senses. Using this strategy is not unusual, since the poem in its entirely lies so heavily on the senses. Shakespeare's personification of the senses tears the readers away from their own idealizations of those they love by forcing them to accept that things they love have more of a divine beauty than the earthly one. It allows the readers to perceive love's power beyond rationality and to actualize their beloved to be human with all his or her imperfections, rather than depending on them to be made of rubies or other perfect stones. Shakespeare is puzzled that the one he loves does not appeal to his senses, yet he still desires and loves her. Shakespeare continues to write his iambic pattern in the third quatrain, but this time he moves away from counting specific ways. He finds the lady unappealing towards the portrayal of the bigger picture. Regardless of it all, he is still her servant. In his third quatrain, he writes, "But my five wits nor my five senses can dissuade one foolish heart from serving thee, who leaves unswayed the likeness of a man, the proud heart slaves and vassal rich to be." He informs his reader that it is not the lady's voice, neither her touch, taste, or smell that makes him want to get closer to her, none of which he truly complimentary. Shakespeare lets his readers understand that his five wits or internal senses are not strong enough to pursue his heart from loving her. He is dedicated to her, and his body is hers to do as she please. Here the five wits are considered common sense, fancy, imagination, memory, and judgment. The use of metonymy is also noticeable in the third line of the third quatrain, where the word unswayed can be associated with the word unrolled. Shakespeare ends his sonnet with the final couplet: "Only my plaque thus far I count my gain, that she that that mails me sin awards me pain." The couplet can be deduced as having a double meaning. Shakespeare on one hand says that the lady who plagues him and caused him to sin should punish his sin with pain. The use of imaginaries is evident in line 1 of the couplet. He uses the word plaque, which during his era was incurable disease, to paint a picture in the reader's mind of how much he loves his woman. He accomplishes what he sets out to do, since he can draw the readers into a sensory experience by appealing to the senses. Additionally, the words "my plaque" is associated with an incurable disease. Shakespeare's use of metonymy in the situation to make the struggle easier to bear, since he believes that the love he has for the woman is a sin. Moreover, metonymy is also utilized in place of less hurtful words. For example, instead of saying the word has physical imperfections, he replaced it with the word errors. In Sonnet 141, Shakespeare draws on his senses to identify why he is attracted to his mistress. However, he does not find anything, which leads him to conclude that the logicality of the heart is what drives him to love her and to be her beck and call. Through his use of rhythm and rhyme, personification, imaginary repetition, and metonymy, Shakespeare explains his kind or irrational love is rewarded with penance. He must accept for the sin he commits for loving the woman.